We just finished a mayoral election, a
Yeah.
runoff, and I wanted to get your thoughts, Tyrone. Chicago under a Brandon Johnson administration, do you think there's going to be inroads in driving down crime? Do you think there's going to be inroads in perhaps building a bridge with your organization? I mean, it doesn't have to be a big, pretty bridge.
Yeah.
It could be a little wobbly, and that's okay because at least it's a start, right? But do you envision? Do you see any hope in working with the Johnson administration to drive down? I mean, in the city it was crazy
Yeah.
last night.
So like I know that I supported violence. And being that Johnson is the nominee, I mean the elected,
The mayor elect.
the mayor elect.
Yeah.
I want to see him successful. We want to see him. It's our job as citizens to make sure that he's successful. It doesn't matter whether it was Vallis, whether it's Lightfoot, or whether it's Johnson. As citizens, it's our job to hold them accountable and repairing the damage that has inundated our communities all across this state. So, yeah, I don't know what it looks like, although some of his people have reached out to me to see what that transition could look like. I hope that he will have enough sense, unlike our last mayor, have enough sense to reach out to community-based organizations that actually are on the ground, that's tapped into the culture of violence that's just decimated our communities, man. And I hope he keeps saying trauma. I'm hearing him saying treatment over trauma, treatment over trauma. I hope he would reach out to us to ask us, how do we get to treatment over trauma? And I can kind of give my opinion and hope I will have an informed opinion about how to get at those issues.
What's your message to the mayor-elect and to his aides? What would be a couple of key points that you'd say, please, we don't have to support each other on everything, but please, let's find some common ground on maybe these 2 or 3 items. What would those be, Tyrone?
See, you have to deal. Guns don't shoot people. I keep saying this over and over, no matter how much you say, guns, get rid of guns. The mindset, there have to be a mindset change, and there have to be true community persons and outreach individuals that actually gets at the thought processes of these young men and boys who would then commit crimes. But we'll be hypocritical to think that can happen without proper resources to replace the ills and issues of these individuals. So if I go to a young man and say, listen, I got a better opportunity for you and to put you in a position of success so you could be a contributing member in society. But then what would I give him to put down his gun? I got to be able to give him a hammer. I have to give him another tool that allow him to feed his family. Because mind you, your listeners out there, in the communities I was born and raised, we don't produce guns. We don't produce bullets. We don't produce drugs. Yet all those issues and ills have inundated our community, and it was easier for me to get my hand on a gun than a book.
Wow.
That's a problem.
That's
and
huge
these
problem.
children are not responsible for that. That's the adults. That's the legislators. That's the citizenry of Chicago that see that type of disinvestment and don't open their mouth, lend a hand, or contribute. While we're on the front line transforming the thought processes of these young men and boys and girls that will so reap havoc on their own communities.
Tyrone, that's such I think that just hit me like a ton of bricks, that it was easier for you to get your hands on a gun,
a 22 special,
than it was for you to get your hands on a book.
Yes.
And the kids in the south and west sides of Chicago, that's still true today.
That's still true today.
That's still true today.
I could go to any block on the south side of Redmond and come back with 5 guns right now.
To our loyal listeners and our my fellow conservative grassroots Republicans, just take those words to heart. Right now, it is easier for kids in the south and west side of Chicago to get their hands on a gun than it is a book. And that's why collectively we've all got to work together. We've got to work with Tyrone. So much more to discuss. We'll be right back.